Oftentimes I'm asked to look at a tree that is in serious decline, and the client will ask me, what can I do to save my tree? My name is Blair Glenn. I'm an ISA certified arborist. This particular tree is showing signs of foliage decline throughout the canopy of the tree. As you can see here, some of the ends are starting to die back, and the tree is nowhere near as full as it should be. I also took the time to look at the trunk and the limb structure for areas of decay, old wounds, old branches that were cut off that are leading to decay, any evidence of insects, frass, etc. And I'm also looking for trunk cankers. There was a recent failure, a limb failure, and I'm sure this is what prompted the call. When you look up through the center of the canopy, you see a lot of blue sky. There should be a nice, full, dense coverage of green foliage, deep, dark green foliage. This tree really only has about 40 to 50% of the foliage that it should have. Maybe even less. It's really sad because from a distance the tree doesn't look too bad, but when you get up close and really look at it, you can see that big areas of the tree are declining. Some of the brighter green foliage that you see is actually coming from sprouts coming down low in the canopy, and it should be an even balance throughout the top. If a tree is putting out a lot of lower growth, oftentimes that's a last-ditch effort to save itself because the upper limb structure is going away. In this photo you can see that there are some cables in the tree. I believe I counted 5 separate cables, and if you look way up high you can see that the whole top limb on this tree has completely died off. About 20 years ago we were contracted to put some holes in the asphalt so that the tree could receive periodic deep root fertilization, irrigation, and a little bit of aeration through this impervious surface. This particular limb is fairly large. It's hanging clear out over Fruitvale Avenue. I'm showing you this image because this limb does go over the road, and it's a heavily used road, so there is some liability if there were a limb failure. There are some very large cavities. This particular cavity is a result of a wound from a limb that was removed many, many years ago, and it has completely hollowed out and rotted out, and that is directly affecting the stability, the weakness of this limb, as well as the limb's ability to put on new foliage. It was interesting to see how many nails have been pounded in this tree. It seems to be a good location for signpostage, but one whole area of the tree has been repeatedly impacted for probably for the life of the tree. There's a very large wound right near the base of the tree, presumably from an impact from a vehicle, as well as a lot of root buttress damage. When you go all the way around the tree, you can see a lot of what appears to be healing over, but it's actually compartmentalization of old wounds. And the old wounds, they don't get better. They try to seal them off, but they are permanent areas of decline for the tree. Here's a little closer picture showing you the degree of impact from all the asphalt around the base of this tree. It's actually a wonder that this tree has survived as long as it has, because it virtually has maybe 5% of the tree has open dirt around it, and its entire root system is completely encapsulated with asphalt. A bad sign is when you find foliage coming out of a crotch that is not associated with a tree. As you can see, there's some weeds coming up here, and when you have growth coming out of a crotch or a cavity, it means that there is an area that is compromised enough to have a root system establish itself. There's another shot of a significant weakness. It's a large cavity. Now this is an interesting shot because what you see on the left is an old wound that is completely covered over. That doesn't mean that everything's okay. It has covered up some past damage, and the internal decay is still there, and it may be getting worse. And on the right is an area that is trying to completely close off. It's still somewhat open, but if you were to magically take all the bark away, you would find that this area is compromised. There really isn't much of an area for this tree to obtain moisture and nutrients. Asphalt everywhere. It's also important to look up at the areas where limbs have been removed in the past. In the center of this picture you can see where either a limb broke off or it was cut off, presumably for weight reduction. And that's necessary, but all these larger cuts do lead to long-term decline. Okay, this is a great shot. This shows the loss of foliage throughout the entire canopy. Large areas are turning brown, and much of the canopy is devoid of foliage. On the positive side, there is a new live oak tree that has been planted near this one, and this is the future of this area. That's a really good thing. Unfortunately, it's got a long battle ahead of it. See, the old large tree was not covered with asphalt when it developed. This newer, younger tree is going to have quite the battle. It's got to establish itself in this very harsh environment. So unfortunately, I don't believe this younger tree will ever become the magnificent stature as the tree behind it. I have worked on this tree many, many times over the last 25 to 30 years. And it's been a long time since I've been up in this tree, but this is the worst I've ever seen it. All we can hope for on this tree is to baby it along. It needs more irrigation. It needs to have those holes cleaned out so that the aeration is working a little bit more efficiently. It needs deep root fertilization. Not an excessive amount of it, but it does need to have some water pumped down in there so the tree does have a chance. As for the pruning of this tree, there's a lot of dead wood, and the dead wood is quite the hazard. Even a small limb can fall off into traffic and cause an accident. So you have to keep this tree clean of all the shedding limbs, and the branches are ready to come off. But at the same time, there are some limbs up here that are very weak, and the obvious evidence of some of the decay pockets is going to make a particular limb likely to break. So weight reduction on the heavy limbs, check all the cables, all the dead wood, do the irrigation, and keep your fingers crossed. Thanks for taking the time to view this presentation. Once again, my name is Blair Glenn. I am an ISA certified arborist.